Okay, so what we're going to do is look at a few different examples of markups and markdowns in different ways. You've got your sales and discounts, you've got your withholdings or deductions, you've got your markup. So this is going to be markup or commission, and then you've got sales tax. That's another way of a markup. So sales tax is markup, discounts is marked down, deductions is marked down, and then finally you've got just your typical markup on a actual item that you're selling. So let's just start with example one. We're going to move right into example one. And what I want you to do is right next to example one, write in the word add. Because we're going to add, in this case, here I'll circle it in yellow, we're going to add 85% to 225%, or $225. So first thing we need to do is figure out what is 85% of $225. And we could write this like this. We have got 225 times, and I'm just going to use parentheses because remember when we put the parentheses next to each other, that's multiplication. I'm going to move the decimal place over two places. So I end up with 0.85 equals what? Well, we can do like the long way if we want. Let's just do that real quick. 225 times 0.85. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Oops, why isn't that writing? There we go. Same thing, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And then we bring that down. 8 times 5 is 40. So go ahead and do what I'm doing. Write this in. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 4 is 20. 8 times 2 is 16 again, plus 2 is 18. So you should be writing all of this in. We're going to add it together. Okay, so you got to move quick to keep up. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. And we bring down the 1. Now we have got two decimal places to the right. So we go 1, 2, and we end up with 191.25. So I'm going to write that in here, 191.25. The next step now is, now that we've got this markup, that's how much we know we're adding. Okay, because remember markup is to add. So we're going to add 191 to 225. So I can do it this way: 225 plus 191.25. Now remember, when we're adding decimal points, we want to line up the decimal points. When we're multiplying, we don't line them up. We just line up the right-hand side and then move the decimal points later. But for adding, we're going to line up the decimal points. So I've got 0 plus 5. Come on. There we go. 5. 0 plus 2 is 2. Keep the decimal points lined up, right? 5 plus 1 is 6. 2 plus 9 is 11. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. So 416. So that is my total now, because I've added the 85% to the 225. So my final price of the guitar is 416.25. All right, so buy the guitar at a wholesale price of 225. The store's markup is 85%, and the retail price of the guitar is 416.25. All right, we're going to move to example 3. Straight across. So this is sales tax. Now sales tax, again, we add. So I'm going to write that in there, add. Okay, well, we've got a couple things happening. We've got a few items. All right, we've got 3 lamps for this amount. So it says the sales tax rate in Georgetown is $6.25. If he purchases 3 lamps for $39.95 each and a couch for $949.99, how much sales tax does he owe? And what is the total cost? So we got to figure out what the sales tax is. So I'm going to circle this 6.25%. So what is 625.5% on all these items? And then the total cost after tax, which means that I'm going to add this 6.25% to the total cost. So first thing we need to do is figure out what the total cost is. So we've got 3 lamps for $39.95. Oops. So 3 times $39.95 plus the $949.99. Now I can just I can use a calculator to figure that out. I could do this the long way. If I do this over to the side, let's just say 3 times $39.95. Oops, $39.95 times 3. I got 3 times 5. 3 times 9 is 27 plus 1 is 8. 3 times 9 again is 27. What was I? 28. Oh, there we go. So 27 plus 2 is 29. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 9, so I got 11. So 119.85 is what I'm looking at for my total price. So for this one right here, so not for the total price. 119 for these 3 lamps, 85 plus the 949.99. Well, I could do this in my head if I want. I can do this the long way. I could use a calculator. If I do this in my head, what I'm going to do is I'm looking at 949 is 1 cent away from 950. And if I've got 950, that's a pretty even number to work with. So 950 plus 119. Well, 950 plus 100 would be 1,050. If I added 19 to 1,050, I would get, what did I say, 19? 1,069, and then 85 cents to that, and then I get 1,069, 85, but I said I rounded up a cent, so I need to go back. So 1,069.84. Okay, and I double checked that with a calculator, and I know that's right. So now I know the total price of all the items. All right. Now I need to figure out what the sales tax is, because that's the question. How much sales tax? Well, that would be my total times the sales tax. Well, I moved the decimal place 1, 2 to the left, so I get 0.0625. This is one for the calculator. And if I do that, I get 66.87. Say that's the first part of the question. How much is the sales tax? $66.87. Well, I've got to add that to my original amount to get the final. So 1,069.85 plus 66.87. We could do it the long way. We could use a calculator. I'm just going to, for the sake of time, use the calculator. And I end up with 1,136.71. And I'm just going to box that so we know where the answer is. All right, so that's what your examples 1 and 3 should look like. I'm going to zoom back out for you for a second. You can get that written down if you need to. But that is what you're looking at for that. All right, I'm going to move down to the bottom half of the sheet. And we're going to look at a couple of deductions or markdowns. So let's start with example 5. A pair of sneakers costs $54.99. And you have a coupon for $15 off any purchase, or 15%, sorry, 15% off any purchase. I'm going to circle that. I'm also going to circle the amount here. What is the cost of the sneakers? Okay, so we know the original. We know that it's 15% off. And right next to this example 5, I want you to write subtract. Because with markdowns, we subtract. We're going to find out what the percentage is, what 15% of $54.99 is, and we're going to subtract that from the original price. So the way we can do that is simply 54.99 times 15%, which is what? We move the decimal place 2 to the left. I get 0.15. All right, 0.15 times 54.99. Again, we're gonna use the calculator because that's just gonna go a little quicker. So if I do that with the rounding, I get $8.25. All right, and like I said, we're gonna subtract. So we're gonna take our original amount. So you can write that in 54.99. If you haven't got ahead of me yet, then that's where we're at. Minus the $8.25. We could do this in our heads. 54 minus 8. Well, I know it's 4 to get to 50, and then another 4 would be 46. So it would be 46. And then 99 minus 25. Well, 100 minus 25 is 75. So we just do one less than that, right? So it'd be 74. So our total would be 46.74. Okay? Again, we subtracted. So make sure you've got that written down. And then we're going to move to example 7, all right, for another deduction. And this one says, Adrian earns $2,250 monthly. Of that, 7.65% is withheld for Social Security and Medicare. And that's actually the real amount. That is not a made-up amount. That is the actual percentage that would be withheld from your check. So if you had a real check, that would be how much would be withheld for Medicare and Social Security. And everybody pays that up to a certain amount of money. It's like $186,000 or something like that. I can't remember right now. So how much of his earnings are withheld for Social Security and Medicare? So they're asking how much is withheld. They didn't even ask for the take-home pay, but we're going to do that as well, just so that we have a complete look at what we're doing. So for example 7, again, we're withholding something, so we're deducting. So we're going to subtract. Okay, and we've got our 2,250. Oops, 2,250, and we're subtracting 7.65%. All right. Well, first we got to figure out what 7.65% is. So we take their 2,250 and we multiply that by our little move the decimal point over to 0.7. Oops, sorry, 0.0. Let me do this. 0.0765. Right. Again, this is a good one to use the calculator on because it starts getting into the little cents and whatnot. And if we use our calculator, we end up with $172.13. So that is the amount that is withheld for Social Security and Medicare. Okay, but let's figure out what his net take-home pay is. So how much after they take out that amount is he left with? And the way we do that, again, is subtract. So 2,250 minus 172.13 equals, we could do this in our head, but it's a little bit tricky, but probably better off doing it the long way or calculator. If I use the calculator, I end up with a take-home pay of 2,077.87. Oops, 87. And that is the final amount that we end up with. Write my $sign in here. I'm going to put a box around it. And that is the take-home pay. You might even want to put a comma in there if you want. That is the take-home pay. And that is our 4 examples for our various things. So we had 2 for markup. Well, we had 1 for markup, right? And 1 for sales tax and tip. The tip is example 4. We're not going to do that. And then we did 1 for a sale and for deductions or withholdings, all right? So those are our 4 examples. Your paper should look like this. I'm going to leave it up here for another second and fill it all in and make sure it looks right.